Good morning. Today we'll start with gas vapor mixtures and air conditioning. The psychrometric chart. So this is the schematic of psychrometric chart. This is specific humidity omega. This is a dry bulb temperature. This is saturation line where humidity 100%. This is saturation line which is constant humidity line. This is on this line volume is constant. This is isothermal line, and this is when your wet bulb temperature is constant. The state of atmosphere area is specified pressure is completely specified by two independent intensity properties. The rest of properties can be calculated easily from the previous calculations. The sizing of a typical air conditioning system involves numerous such calculations, which may eventually get on the nerves of even the most patient engineer. Therefore, there is a clear motivation to computerize calculation or to do these calculations once and to present the data in the form of easily readable charts. Such charts are called psychrometric charts. The dry bulb temperature is shown on this horizontal axis, and the specific humidity is shown on vertical axis, which is here. So on the left hand side of chart there is a curve called saturation line. This is a saturation line instead of straight line. So all saturation air states are located on this curve. Therefore, it is also the curve of 100% native humidity. Other constant native humidity curves have the same general shape. So line of constant wet bulb temperature have a downhill appearance to the right. So this is your wet bulb temperature. Lines of constant specific volume look similar except they are steeper. Lines of constant enthalpy lie very nearly parallel to the lines of constant wet bulb temperature. So this is a constant enthalpy line. The psychrometric chart also serves as a valuable aid in visualizing the air conditioning process. An ordinary heating or cooling process, for example, appears as a horizontal line on this chart if no humidification or dehumidification is involved. Any deviation from horizontal line indicates that moisture is added or removed from the air during the process. So human comfort and air conditioning. Human beings are inherent weakness. They want to feel comfortable. They want to live in an environment that is neither hot nor cold, neither humid nor dry. However, comfort does not come easily, since the desires of human body and weather usually are not compatible. Achieving comfort requires a constant struggle against the factors that cause discomfort, such as high or low temperature and high or low humidity. As engineers, it is our duty to help people feel comfortable. It did not take long for people to realize that they could not change weather in an area. All they can do is change it in a confined space such as house or workplace. In the past, this was partially accomplished by fire and simple indoor heating systems. Today, modern air conditioning systems can cool, heat, humidify, dehumidify, clean, and even deodorize the air. In other words, condition the air to the people desire. Air conditioning systems are designed to satisfy the needs of human body. Therefore, it is essential that we understand the thermodynamic aspects of the body. The comfort of a human body depends primarily on three factors: the dry bulb temperature, relative humidity, and air motion. The temperature of the environment is the single most important index of comfort. Most people feel comfort when the environment temperature is between 22 and 27 degrees Celsius. The relative humidity also has a considerable side on comfort since it affects the amount of heat a body can dissipate through evaporation. Relative humidity is a measure of air's ability to absorb more moisture. High relative humidity slows down heat rejection by evaporation, and low relative humidity speeds it up. Most people prefer relative humidity of 40 to 60%. Air conditioning process. So various air conditioning processes are shown here. So when you go in downward direction, this is dehumidifying. When you go in upward direction, this is humidifying. Means you are adding some amount of you can say moisture into the air, and this is your heating. When you get this stripe, your wet bulb temperature will increase. So this is heating, and when you go on this side, this is called cooling, and in between is cooling and dehumidifying, and here is heating and dehumidifying. So maintaining a living space or industrial facility at the desired temperature and humidity requires some process called air conditioning process. These processes include simple heating, raising the temperature, simple cooling, lower the temperature, humidifying, adding moisture, and dehumidifying, removing moisture. Sometimes two or more of these processes are needed to bring the air to desired temperature and humidity level. Various air conditioning processes are illustrated on the psychometric chart. Notice that simple heating and cooling process appear as horizontal lines on this chart. Since the moisture content of air means omega is equal to constant during this process, air is commonly heated and dehumidified in winter and cooled and dehumidified in summer. Notice how this process appear on psychometric chart. So this is shown over here. So most air conditioning process can be modeled as steady flow process and does mass balance relation. Mass in is equal to mass out, expressed for dry air and water as. So mass balance for dry air is equal to mass air in is equal to mass air out. Mass balance for water is equal to mass water in and mass water out. Disregarding the kinetic and potential energy changes, the steady flow energy balance equation E in and E out can be expressed in this case. So Q in plus W in is equal to summation of mass into enthalpy is equal to Q out plus work out plus summation of mass into enthalpy. The work term usually consists of fan work input, which is small relative to the other form terms in the energy balance relation. Next, we examine some commonly encountered process in air conditioning. Simple heating and cooling. So you can see here, air is coming here. So during heating process, after heating, your specific heat may be the same, that is omega 2 is equal to omega 1, but the relative humidity will decrease. So notice that relative humidity of air decreases during a heating process, even the specific humidity omega remains constant. This is because the relative humidity is the ratio of the moisture content to the moisture capacity of the air at same temperature, and the moisture capacity increases with temperature. Therefore, the relative humidity of heated air may be well below comfort levels, causing dry skin, respiratory difficulties, and an increase in static laxity. A cooling process at constant specific humidity is similar to heating process discussed above. So this is from 1 to 2 is cooling, except that dry bulb temperature decrease and the relative humidity increase due to such a process. So dry bulb decrease from 30 to 12 and your relative humidity will decrease because of at low temperature the air carrying moisture carrying capacity of air will decrease. So the conservation of mass equation for a heating or cooling process that involves no humidification or dehumidification is reduced to mass A1, mass A2 equal to m dot A for dry air and omega 1 is equal to omega 2 for water. Neglecting any fan work that may be present, the conservation energy equation in this case reduces to. So heat taken from the air is equal to mass of air into H2 minus H1 and Q is equal to H2 minus H, where H1 and H2 are enthalpy per unit mass of dry air and inlet and exit of the heating or cooling section. So heating and humidification. So this is heating coil, air come at inlet 1 and it will go at 2. So this is heating section here. In humidifier you will add some amount of water, and after adding this water, the specific humidity of air will increase from omega 3 to omega 2. So this is humidifier section. The location of 3 depend on how humidification is accomplished. If steam is introduced in a humidification section, this will result in humidification with additional heating, that is T3 greater than T2. If humidification is accomplished by spraying water into the air stream instead, part of the latent heat of evaporation comes from the air, which results in the cooling of heated air stream, that is T3 less than T2. Air should be heated to a higher temperature in the heating section in this case to make up the cooling effect during the humidification process. Cooling with the dehumidification. The specific humidity of air remains constant during a simple cooling process, but its relative humidity increases. If relative humidity reaches undesired level, it may be necessary to remove some moisture from the air, that is dehumidified. This requires cooling the air below its due temperature. So air enter the cooling coil at one state, which is 80% moisture, temperature 30, volume 10 meter cube per minute. So when it is passes through the cooling coil, its temperature start to decrease. So it will temperature start to decrease. At X point, it will reach to a temperature where its relative humidity is 100% now. So air won't able to carry the moisture. So the moisture within the air start to condense at the cooling coil. So the moisture start to condense, but the relative humidity remains 100%. So up to state 2, it is 40 degrees Celsius, air temperature will decrease and its relative humidity is 100%. So the cooling process with dehumidifying is illustrated schematically and a psychometric chart in conjunction with example hot air enters the cooling coil at section 1, this state. As it passes through the cooling coil, its temperature decrease. You can see temperature is decreasing and relative humidity increase as constant specific humidity. If the cooling section is sufficiently long, air reaches its dew point state X, saturated air. So this is saturated air, means it is carrying the maximum moisture which it can carry at this temperature. It means relative humidity is 100%. Further cooling of air results in condensation of part of the moisture in the air. Air remains saturated during the entire condensation process, which follows a line of 100% relative humidity until the final state 2 is reached. The water vapor that condenses out of the air during this process is removed from cooling section through a separate channel. The condensate is usually assumed to leave the cooling section at T2. So after the condensation, the air will have temperature 14 degrees Celsius and relative humidity 100%. Evaporative cooling, conventional cooling system operate on reference cycle, and they can be used in many places, but they are costly and operating cost is high, so we use evaporative coolers, also known as swamp coolers. So evaporative cooling is based on the simple principle: as water evaporates, the latent heat of vaporization is absorbed from the water body and the surrounding air. As a result, both water and air are cooled during the process. So this approach has been used for from lot of years. So you can see in this diagram, the air will enter, hot dry air will enter at one state. This is liquid water spread in the air. So when it is passed from air, it will carry some amount of liquid water, and the liquid water will take heat from this hot air. It will evaporate. So hot air temperature will decrease and part of water will be in the evaporation form. So you will get a cool moist air, means your overall temperature will decrease and your relative humidity will increase, as well as your specific humidity will increase, means you can see here at 1 and 2 the water air is carrying more moisture in terms of weight. So you have probably noticed that hot dry air, the air feels a lot cooler when the yard is watered. This is because water absorbed heat from the air as it evaporates, and evaporative cooler works on the same principle. The evaporative cooling process is shown and on psychrometric chart. Hot dry air at state 1 enters the evaporative cooler where it is sprayed with the liquid water. Part of water evaporates during this process by absorbing heat from the air stream. As a result, the temperature of air stream decreases and its humidity increases to state 2. In the limiting case, the air leaves the evaporative cooler saturated at state 2 dash. So this is the lower temperature that can be achieved by this process, which is 2 dash. But you can say in this case we had achieved up to 2. The evaporative cooling process is essentially identical to adiabatic saturation process, since no heat transfer between air stream and the surrounding is usually negligible. Therefore, the evaporative cooling process follows a line of constant wet bulb temperature on the psychrometric chart. So this is your constant wet bulb temperature line. Note that this will not exactly be the case if the liquid water is supplied at temperature different from the exit temperature of the air stream. Since the constant wet bulb temperature lines almost coincide with the constant enthalpy lines, the enthalpy of air stream can be assumed to be remain constant. So this is the wet bulb temperature line, and isothalpic lines are also follow the same pattern. They will in this direction, almost parallel. So you can say wet bulb remains almost constant, as well as this is a enthalpy remains constant during an evaporative cooling. This is a really accurate approximation, and it is commonly used for air conditioning calculations. So this is up to here about the psychrometry. Subscribe this channel, like this video, and thank you for watching this video.